Fite Ghana football. Meto le woke Prosperado ke will be. Prosperado ke will be. Woke wa hanyo omanye. Omanye.
Oh, chale.
Nye bomodin. Nye bomodin. GFA keto kroko ene kometo le mi. Chale. Chale. Matechiambo.
Standing ovation.
Bomodin. Me. Nke you kashi beni neke verdict ne baba inwe ash gold ke intalasan mene verdict ba mene bu am here na me na me smoothness level me no ba ka your program ne na me na you
shock
aka third division as aka me third division me the second division come on, after this program nye ya back. Don't call
me to the third division.
Third division. Oh, Bele Yachi. Yeah, yes, Ubame.
Amen.
Motivation.
Quick Darlington. No holiday. Charlie with the grind every day. So you need but you see a physical criminal, but you to go to be here pay. You be any aquamantia coaching this
ye be ni aquamantia coaching this ye busy Charlie, Kweku Frimpong say then na ye pesika be fie keke, you know. Now you say Ghana football ni mu ye ding into ye pesika be fie, you know. Like the 2 goals from Hashmin Musa and the 7-0 episode. So
Giant con say Maradona dream fie. Hello, all those boys claiming outstanding, no. Omi and be in rem, so of course they are outstanding.
Man, we are at this juncture right now. The decision has come out. In fact, even appeals have been filed. But just to even take you to where that decision is, Nathan, after the 7-0, the GFA said that based on the videos on social media, they were going to investigate the matter. So the decision has come out, and the main verdict is basically that both Ash Gold and Inter Allies have been demoted to Division 2. Yeah. Inter Allies were already relegated last season, so they've been playing in Division 1. They are going to go a step further the next campaign. Same for Ashanti Gold. Now, Ash Gold CEO Kweku Frimpong, yeah, Charlie, looks as if Black Sheriff played a song for him.
He saw it coming.
So he, he has been fined 100,000. So we are streaming live on YouTube, Citi Sports GH. So if you just want to catch the show, go out there, catch the show. You might see a few things. Salah, you might see the breaking of bread. You might see Daniel's Nana dance for Ateta. Yeah. Anything can happen on this show.
And there's Puka representing,
You don't know. Puka is in the building.
You know when I get freezer go back.
That be
squeeze no
more tuition.
No ka Chile
Charlie.
Charlie.
Oh man. Okay. So what's going on is that Ash Gold have been demoted, Inter Allies have been demoted to Division 2. Ash Gold CEO President Kweku Frimpong has been fined 100,000 Ghana cedis. His son, the CEO.
No, I think the club has.
The club has also been fined,
and he has been given a 10-year ban.
Yep.
So
Ash Gold fined 100,000. Inter Allies fined 100,000. The individual, the president, has been fined 100,000 as well. His son, the CEO, has been fined 50,000, and then his son has been handed an 8-year ban, and he has been handed a 10-year ban. Now, in all, 34 players and officials from both clubs have been caught in this net. Various sanctions have been handed over, including to Richmond Lamptey, who used to play for Inter Allies last season, but crossed the river to Asante Kotoko and has felt
his smoothness level.
Yeah, he has seen his smoothness level. So basically, that is a summary of everything that has happened. Ash Gold say that the decision is a joke, and that they will exhaust every bit of legal.
They said they are shocked.
Yeah. No, so they don't say that it's a joke. You are shocked that what?
I can't believe.
Of course,
Yo, Charlie.
Abuwe.
But look, Nathan,
and I can't explain. Oh,
let's get into
Abuwe, no.
take us into the details of the matter. How did the match fixing itself? I mean, how was it orchestrated?
Okay.
How was it nurtured? And how was it finally brought to fruition?
Okay, so for context sake, we need to remember that the match was played on the 17th of July, 2021. So on the 12th of July 2020, which was a Monday, the match was played on a Saturday.
More lie.
So on the 12th, around this, I'm reading the GFA's verdict too. So those who are sitting there say, what am I saying?
I beg you, cue Nathan calls Mami Momo. I beg you, cue it for me. I beg you.
Page 14, and we'll get to why we'll play Mami Momo soon. So the prosecution showed that on 12th July, around 4:57 p.m., Dr. Kweku Frimpong,
What do you say, Baba?
yes, I'm not the assembly, but let's listen. Called Emmanuel Ni Amwa. Oh, this is a serious issue. What is the meaning?
Oh, no more.
Listen.
Oh, we go.
Now he called Emmanuel Ni Amwa and expressed interest in the match in question.
Ni Amwa aka Ni Gogo.
Ni Gogo, yes. Now Dr. Frimpong, then again, for those who are listening, I'm reading the GFA verdict too. Don't say that I'm the one recounting any stories. Yo. Dr. Frimpong then offered an amount of 10,000 cedis and instructed that he indicated that he would instruct someone who turned out to be Emmanuel Frimpong, Ashgold CEO, to send the money. Thereon, Emmanuel Ni Amwa frequently contacted Dr. Kweku Frimpong to obtain more info on the details of Dr. Frimpong's interest in manipulating the match. Now, prosecution went on to say that before the match was played between 12th and 19th, right, Dr. Frimpong called Emmanuel Ni Amwa on 2 occasions. Two. Within the same period, Ni Amwa also contacted Dr. Frimpong 6 times. And within the same period, Ni Amwa called Emmanuel Frimpong 9 times.
Transaction ne koso.
Ni Gogo na Ebuwe as
Ni
well.
Gogo.
Now, the
Ni Gogo.
prosecution revealed that on Thursday, 15th July, around 10 a.m., Isaac Quest, a Momo agent,
Yeah.
received an amount of 10,000 cedis,
Mami Momo.
which was sent in 2 batches of 5,000 within a minute from Prince Quating, who is also believed to be a Momo agent.
I like the little details.
Presence.
They mentioned the Momo Enterprise.
Now, Emmanuel Frimpong then
What's the name
called
again?
Prince Quating.
And
Typically for Momo
Is it related
it is
to Daniel Cranting?
oh.
This is Quating.
Let's not be
The rhyme. No.
My brother, we are not in normal times. We can't be doing this.
Let's not
Let's
do
go.
this.
Now, Emmanuel Frimpong then called Ni Amwa around 10:23 a.m. to
Charlie, what is the meaning of this?
to confirm the receipt of the money. Isaac Quest sent an amount of 2,000 on the 15th to Ni Amwa. On the 18th of July, Isaac Quest again sent an amount of 5,000 cedis to Ni Amwa. And another 2,194 cedis on the 22nd of July. This was 5 days after the match had been played. Now, management of Inter Allies denied any relationship between Ni Amwa Gogo and Dr. Frimpong and Emmanuel Frimpong. However, Ni Amwa Gogo admitted during their internal investigations that he had received 10,000 from Emmanuel Frimpong. Now, this is where the juice starts coming, and I love this part. He says, in the opinion of the committee, the money received by Ni Amwa Gogo and the phone calls on the day of the match, as well as the evidence showing that Emmanuel Frimpong and Emmanuel Ni Amwa exchanged text messages 43 times.
Transaction ne koso.
43 times between
I need how to
hold
use
on,
a koso for this.
hold on. Between 3:12 p.m. and 4:57 p.m. during the match.
Oh my goodness.
Now, if you understand the timing of Ghana Premier League matches, our matches start at 3.
And end roughly around
Around
4:45.
You mean he was providing updates?
Now, between 3:12 and 4:57, 43 text messages were exchanged, with Emmanuel Frimpong texting Ni Amwa 21 times. Okay, now we move on. So this is what we should all note. Now, when you go on and on and on and on, it goes that prosecution. Okay, now according to the prosecution, Richmond Lamptey, this is Nketia's favorite part. Richmond Lamptey stated during interrogation that Seth Osei of Ashgold
That boy.
called him at the center of their dressing room and asked him that, quote, haven't your elders spoken to you?
Oh, Charlie.
Let me.
Mumpenyinfo no ene munkasaye.
Onu pa ni your team me. Ani amekanye we kono.
Now,
In your bani bulaba ni. Oh Charlie.
now they said, so they said, according to the prosecution, it goes on to say, prosecution further indicated that Set Osei's reaction after the first own goal showed his frustration about the correct score line of 5-1 being ruined. Now, I'm going to read another paragraph, and this paragraph, no joke, we should take it seriously. He says, the video also showed that Dansuredu Mensah, Inter-Allies goalkeeper, deliberately allowed the second and fourth goals. Now, a player called...
Funny.
It was clear.
It
was clear.
See, it goes on to say Mohamed Zakari, who's a player, during investigations told the investigation committee that Dansuredu was part of a network of individuals and or players who acted to manipulate the match. Hence his obvious negligence and deliberate acts to allow goals scored by Ashgold players.
I think that is a point we should just read that again. Just read that point again. Just read that point again.
It's a very, very serious.
Read that point again.
Mohamed Musa told the investigation committee that Dansuredu was part of I'm reading the words as I see them. The network of players and or the network of individuals and or players who acted to manipulate the match. Hence his obvious negligence and deliberate acts to allow the goal scored by Ashanti Gold players.
Interesting.
So this is largely a snapshot of everything that happened. Now, those who have not seen the video, please find the video and watch it. And look at two things. Dansuredu's reaction to Hashmin Musa's second own goal.
The one that made it 7-0.
The one that made it 7. He was very upset at Hashmin Musa. He really guys like go warm like Kobesi Nikoto.
But to be fair, if you were me too and my defender scores me 2 own goals, I'll be upset.
You see? So that's what. Now those who would like to, or those who have seen the video, take your minds back to the fourth Ashanti goal scored. Yeah. The ball falls to Dansuredu, the Inter-Allies goalkeeper,
and then he just
throws it back to the Ashanti Gold guy, and then the guy scores. The annoying part is after the guy scores, he does a knee slide celebration.
Yes, like the Didier Drogba sort of celebration.
And
as a Washekila goal,
was it the second goal or the third goal? I don't know. The one that the goalkeeper was standing and then he played the shot and then it just went through his hands. He caught the ball, then he intentionally threw the ball into the net.
You see, now the match referee and the match commissioner both stated, this one says, from the referee's report, under the subtitle, incidents caused by players or team officials, the referee wrote, quote, the 2 own goals scored by Hashmin Musa were quite strange. He picked the pass from a teammate and kicked it into his own goal. End quote.
And watch the video well. The teammate that passed the ball to him, Hashmin gave him the ball. It was a return pass.
Yeah.
Hashmin gave him the ball, hold on, and started sprinting towards his own goal. And he gave him a true pass.
Yeah, so which means on the face of that, you could clearly see that Hashmi and the teammate was not in favor of what had been planned.
It was a return pass. He gave him and started running towards his own goal. And he gave him a return pass. And he scored. You understand?
Interesting. Nathan, conclude for us.
When you go on and on and on and on, the sanctions are there, but the recommendations, I think the recommendations...
That should be on the final pages.
Yes, the recommendations also mentions a number of things. Now, it says... since match fixing is complicated and may involve many people, particularly in this instant case, and where the combination of investigations and adjudication may take time, the committee recommends that under such circumstances, all the teams involved and all the players involved or named in the investigation must be injuncted from participating in any football-related activities pending the final determination of the matter.
This is they mean for future reference.
Yes, so
for future reference.
That in future, should another thing happen, the GFA should not come out and say, we have demoted you and yet you are still playing in the league. Yes. Once you are demoted, you are getting thrown out. Yeah. Or before the determination,
if a case is brought before you,
those
you are
two
frozen.
sets of teams, freeze them.
Yeah.
Play the rest of the league. When it's determined, then we figure out the way forward. And then they go on to talk about declaration, but they also say match fixing and manipulation must be made a criminal offense. And I think it is key. Why? Because in other jurisdictions, such things are not handled only by the GFA. They are handled by the criminal authorities and the law enforcement agencies. And people are thrown in jail. Go to Italy and things. People are languishing in jail for match fixing. For match manipulation.
Match fixing is a criminal offense.
So we have to do it. If we want to clean football.
Are you saying, as we speak now?
As we speak
it's
now,
not.
let me show you. Crimes like bribery in football. Even bribery itself under our law books is not a crime.
Wow.
Are you following? And the lawyers can correct me and if I'm wrong. So bribery in football, if I bribe you to lose a game, I've not committed a crime. It's not captured under our law books.
I can't believe this.
It's just an issue of morality.
It's an issue of morality of a sort.
Wow.
I remember in March 2019, when did we come out of normalization, Fent? 2019. 2019. I remember.
Elections were held in October.
Yes, the Attorney General at the time, and he said Attorney General Godfrey Dame, he made that point at the GFA's headquarters. When FIFA came out, when we were about wrapping up normalization, he said one of the things he would like to do, and one of the recommendations FIFA has given, and it's something the GFA and the government will have to look at going forward, is creating a sports tribunal where all these things, violence at match grounds, corruption in football, bribery, match fixing, all those things are tried there. What it means is that now you create space within our country's civil law to handle those things, but you handle them at a sports tribunal, and people are correctly punished. So what I will say is this: I think the FA has done a good job. For the first time, many years ago, we saw the Nania FC 31, whatever.
That was how they were doing that game. When they take the phone and call the challenge for Nasheo.
Then
And
we
they
score.
you know.
You get it? So I think it's good. But like the investigators say, or the committee has said, going forward, the GFA needs to be very up and doing. And I think that this should open the Pandora's box into more things, because there are clubs who we know like doing these things.
We know.
Even this season, look, even this season and last season, some of the scores, when you watch some of the scores and watch the videos, you say, this game, no. So the GFA, look, we pat them on the back. They've done a good job. We bashed them and harassed them. They gave us a verdict that I think makes a lot of sense. Of course, there are a few things that could have been fine-tuned. For example, once the determination came out, why are Ashanti Gold still playing in this league? Because they've got games to play. Yesterday, somebody drew my attention to the next 4 games Ash Gold have to play. They are all against teams who are either trying to fight off relegation or trying to make top 4. You get me? The danger, the decision is good. The decision is great. Maybe it should have been brought at the end of the season.
Yep.
Yes,
But now that you bring it now, what does it mean for Ash Gold matches going forward? How are we sure that they'll even play the rest of the
They
game
played fair.
in a competitive? Because they know that they're already going down. What is the point?
And they will feel aggrieved because they will feel as if they've wasted their money this season.
You know, so look, I think that these are things that they'll work on. But credit to the FA, I think they've presented evidence that nobody can argue against. Phone calls, text messages, Momo alerts. You can't argue against that.
Mami Momo. Let me listen to Fent. You seem to have some issues with the decision that was made or that was put
so
out.
Somebody's corrected us. Somebody's corrected us that bribery and corruption is a crime, but it's a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Misdemeanor. So what does it mean? It's a serious crime?
Nah.
No, we need to understand. Misdemeanor means what? Like it's a slap on the wrist or what?
Misdemeanor there. It's a musician that used to work here.
My brother, behave yourself. Behave yourself.
What does that mean?
No,
I think
people would like
yeah.
so if something is a misdemeanor.
I think we have a legal brain here. We can just get some
Where's
quick
counsel?
interpretation of a matter.
Salom around.
Yeah, he's around.
Well,
We-
It's a
want to see
law.
if we can bring him here really
It's
quickly.
a non-indictable offense.
A non-indictable offense.
And less serious. It's less serious than a felony.
It's less serious. So
Now even gone into
Hello?
areas where we don't understand.
Council looks a little. He looks a little alarmed that we are inviting him. I mean, so
This is debut on the
yeah.
council.
So Selam Adonu is our legal brain here
Please
at
explain to us.
97.3.
Why is bribery a misdemeanor?
why is it a misdemeanor? And what does it
And
mean?
not a
What does it mean when we say bribery is a misdemeanor?
Well, I mean, crimes, the status of crimes, I should say, are determined by statute. So that is how the statute makes it.
Okay.
So, recently there's been discussions about making corruption, for example, which currently is a misdemeanor, a more severe offense. You understand? So, yeah, it is. So certain crimes like murder, etc., we call them indictable because they are the mode of trying them is quite different. You know, they don't try them summarily. They try them by indictment. There's a process, a committal process, etc. So that's technical and quite different. So generally, or maybe in summary, misdemeanors are like the lowest forms of crimes, normally from maybe a day to about 3 or 5 years. You know, anything above that enters the felony areas. So that's how it works here.
Thank you very much, Stella Madonu, giving us some clarification there. Yeah.
So Uchiya bribe out me them one day.
Charlie.
So somebody says misdemeanor carries a punishment not more than 3 years.
Yeah.
That's from my very good friend Kofi Sam.
Okay. So in other words, when the munche,
you know,
you see, so what that we can
Ghana
get
has
him out
a
in 3
connection,
years.
baby.
If you pay
Well,
money.
misdemeanor be one be from grad.
Misdemeanor,
That's
why we are where we are as a country.
What about the R&B singer misdemeanor?
My brother.
What is the meaning of
My brother, behave yourself on the show.
Will you behave?
Behave yourself on the show. Go on, make your submission. You had some differences, or you had some opinions to share about the decision. Tell us about it.
Yes. First and foremost, I just want to add to what Nathan said about the timing. I really think that there could never have been an ideal timing for this, to be honest. Because whichever time they released this, I think the consequences were always going to be the same. Whether at the beginning of the season, at the start of the season, the middle of the season. Bottom line is we had been crying for this for a long time. Yep. And it needed to be done. Like the indicator and the recommendation, some of these are very tricky. So it can take a lot longer than usual because they have to request for telephone, you know. Exactly. Those things will
take about a year for this to come
those
out.
things can take. Yeah, the match was actually
July.
10 months.
Yeah.
It took 10 months.
July 17th.
Okay, yeah, so July, so it's not even a year.
Yeah, 10 months. You know, if you write to the telecos, you will need a court order for them to release all those. So those things can take time. I just feel like the day. So this is my first issue. The day the decision came out is the day they should have kicked out Ash Gold and Inter Allies immediately. Quick.
You mean there should have been no waiting till the end of the season?
No waiting to the end of the season. That ruins everything. It compromises everything.
But doesn't that affect teams who are innocent?
It is simple. We are cleaning a house. Everybody needs to contribute to that house cleaning. And the small sacrifice all of us will have to make will have to be the inconveniences of losing these two teams. So if you kick out Ash Gold today from the Ghana Premier League, subtract their points, or anyway, cancel every Ash Gold game. So cancel every Ash Gold game. It is that simple. So if you took 6 points from them, those 6 points are gone.
Yeah.
If you took 0 points from them,
I think the clubs will raise a lot of uproar about
they
that.
will, but at the same time, this is something that requires getting people together and making them understand that it is a small price for all of us to pay for the ultimate.
But is it that simple though? Because
It is.
6 points might take somebody who is surviving into relegation.
It might. It might. But
So
then at the same time, you also still have time to be able to survive. There's still 5 games left to the end of the season.
Yeah, actually, because look, I agree with Fen in the sense once they've chosen to bring out the verdict now, like Nathan also said, how can we guarantee that the next 5 games of Ash Gold is going to be fairly played?
It's impossible. And look at the players. Some of them were given 30-man ban, 48-man bans. You really think that these guys, for the next 5 matches, this guy would go in playing competitively, knowing that for the next 4 years they will never play football? And you think that these same guys, because this is Ghana Premier League, the betting companies won't just take out Ash Gold alone. You understand? So what is to guarantee that these guys won't see these next 5 matches as a way of making money? They can easily go and bet against themselves scoring own goals. And we could have very comical matches going forward. But it's true.
Very possible.
So, you know, there's so many scenarios that are possible as a result of the decision to allow them to continue to compete. And that has to be sorted out. I think the GFA will have to sit with the clubs. They will have to make a decision. Because ultimately, the recommendation even said that going forward, that's what should happen. And I think that the going forward, it shouldn't start from next season. It should start now.
Okay.
Where everybody indicted everybody that has now been fined, been banned, that decision takes effect immediately. I think that's the only way we can move forward, knowing full well that we have solved part of the problem. Having said that, both clubs have filed appeals. Yeah. Against the decision, and the DC did what they did. They did the work that they did. But reading the report, and this is my honest opinion, I have so many more questions than answers. And Nathan talked about the weight of evidence, and you look at the ruling, and you look at what was presented. The evidence that was presented against the charges and then against the rulings, then you notice that apart from the case of Kweku Frimpong and Emmanuel Frimpong and their exchanges with Nigogo, all of the other individuals that were punished, especially some of the players, there is no mention of what sort of crimes a lot of them actually committed. And there is no... And the evidence, even the evidence, so the evidence is not shared.
Substantive enough.
Or in some cases, it's even non-existent. Yes. Yeah. So I would have liked
for a more thorough breakdown of why.
Yes, and I know maybe
individuals also.
Yes, but even in the case of Kweku Frimpong and Emmanuel Frimpong, we are told they exchange text messages or whatever 43 times, 47 times. We don't know the content of the text messages.
But clearly,
they won't put the content.
No, they won't. But I'm saying that
but it's quite obvious whatever it is they said in those messages.
Was it? So in that case, that's what I'm saying. In that case in particular,
they did a thorough job on that.
Exactly. The rest of them, I have way too many questions. You understand? And it doesn't help. You see, you take the case of Inter-Allies, for example, and you look at the entire evidence against Inter-Allies. You see, I make this point all the time, and this is you see, this is common sense and is law at the same time. So if you have, for example, you charge somebody, everything that you do is against the charge. So I'm looking at, for example, the charges that were leveled against them. Charge 1, charge 2, charge 3. Look at the charges. Count 1.
Count 1. They were charged for a breach of Article 34(5)(a) of the Premier League regulations for instigating, commanding, and counselling.
Are you talking about
Inter-Allies?
Yes.
Yes. So they were charged for instigating, commanding, and counselling their players to play a fixed match or a match of convenience.
Thank you. On that charge,
and on that charge,
I have read the report so many times. On that charge, there is nowhere in the report where it was obvious or where the disciplinary committee comfortably satisfied the premise that anybody at Ash Gold or Inter-Allies or the club Inter-Allies, the corporate Inter-Allies, the corporate body Inter-Allies, the legal entity Inter-Allies actually counseled their players and told and commanded them. This is the charge. Counseling, commanding their players to go and play a match of convenience. From what you read, there was one where we asked him to
read again.
He said individual players. Yes. So long as you have been able to identify those individual players,
that exempt the
for me, those individuals, once identified and duly punished, I feel like in the case of Inter-Allies, I can't see the full proof against the body corporate as one that is guilty of the count one charge, for example.
Because in the Ash Gold case, you did state that messages were exchanged.
Yes.
In the Inter-Allies case, what you're trying to say is what exactly constitutes instigating, counseling, and in the end affecting that entire process
by the institution Inter-Allies.
Yes.
No,
because the role that they play.
Yes, they play. Now the Agogo guy, is he Inter-Allies?
So
they did mention that he was eventually mentioned as a volunteer, but after they verified, it was noticed that his name was in the FIFA Connect system with regards to an attachment to Inter-Allies Football Club.
So that is from the 2014-15 season.
Yep.
There is no evidence of him being in their system
now.
Now is even inconsequential.
When the game was
2021, 2020-2021
That's when the game was played.
Yes, as when the game was played. You understand? So, and this guy at the disciplinary committee sitting said countless times that what he did, he acted on his own. He traveled with the Inter-Allies team back. So Inter-Allies can say all they want that he's not part of. You can't be traveling with the guy and tell us that he's not. But having said that, of all the people, look at the hierarchy of people involved in the Ashgo case. The people who were dealing, and look at the Inter-Allies, and look at the character who was involved.
That's it.
That was the only guy who was involved. And this guy has also gone to sit there, and he's told the people that he was acting all on his own. And I'm looking at the entire thing. I'm wondering how, for example, Inter-Allies as a body corporate is guilty of this particular count one charge. So for me, I'm struggling in that area, honestly. That is one.
Oh, and that's fair.
Yes. Number two, I'm wondering how, for example, Inter-Allies as a body corporate benefited from this whole act.
Yeah.
Even if even
I've not
if,
thought of that, to be honest.
No, you have to have benefited. So what was the benefit of Inter-Allies?
Was
Or
in it
what
for
did
them.
they stand to benefit?
Yes. So
if the thing
I mean, I
had
think
gone according to plan.
I can answer to that a little, because again, like the decision says, it doesn't mention Inter-Allies as a body.
Yes.
It pinpoints certain officials within Inter-Allies,
No,
and
one.
then one official,
One.
and then Richmond Lamptey. So I
Who's a player? No,
think
but
that's
even
fair
in the
enough.
case of Richmond Lamptey, he was asked whether the big man in the team hasn't spoken to him yet.
when he was out, when Setose asked him, he was surprised because
Nobody
nobody spoke to him.
has spoken to him. You
So
understand?
that alone exonerates Inter-Allies officials of instigating their
18
players.
players from
You understand? So it's a bit murky. Maybe the DC, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they have other evidence against the body corporate Inter-Allies and how certain members from the very top, from the board level, acted in conjunction with the people of Ashgold to fix this game. I really have, per the weight of evidence, I have struggled to really pin this on
connect
them.
the dots,
Exactly. And you add that to the fact that this new go character, was the one that did everything and has gone to the DC to say that he was acting all by himself, all alone. And the money involved was actually established 10,000 cedis, and the money was sent to him. And you wonder, would Inter-Allies go and fix a game for 10,000 Ghana cedis? You understand me? So it's so many questions. So that's my first issue. And in fact, somebody else can even say the same for Ashanti Gold. In the case of Richmond Lamptey, the evidence against him was from a third party. Yes. In fact, read that part. For Richmond Lamptey, actually, your paper is long. I have it just here, right in front of me. It says, Gokel Ahoto, a player of Inter-Allies, indicated that Mohamed Zakari of Inter-Allies told him that they have placed the match on a bet. Now listen, Hashmin
A
then
bet on the
said
match.
that, yes, Hashmin then said that Mohamed Zakari told him that he saw Richmond Lamptey giving a piece of paper to somebody. So they didn't hear from
Richmond.
the Mohamed Zakari himself. Hashmi. And see, so there's too much hearsay. This one said that it's like.
But I want to also assume that they interviewed Richmond Lamptey or they spoke to him.
But they
He was
did,
questioned.
and he gave his side of a story on what was on the paper. He admitted handing a paper to the.
And they said on that piece of paper he had asked somebody to stake a bet for him.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
what they
game.
claim.
Yeah.
And no, the allegation was that there was a phone number on the piece of paper, and he gave it to their team manager. And the team manager is the new or whatever, the new Gogo guy. And new Gogo was supposed to call that number, tell the person to stake a bet on the correct score of 5-1. This is the allegation. Richmond Lamptey was called. He explained that he handed the paper to new Gogo with a phone number on it, but the paper it was the phone number of his younger brother, and that he was asking him to call him to do something else for him, other than a bet, stake a bet. So it is your word against mine. It's very funny. You understand me? But that is if the DC have been able to establish that maybe he's lying, sometimes when you look at somebody, when you interview
That's what I'm saying,
somebody,
that we don't know what happened when they spoke to him.
Exactly. So for me, that's not even. So I'm not trying to support Richmond Lamptey. I'm just saying that the whole what is captured in here doesn't necessarily
shine enough light on
of
all
what
the
really
individuals involved, because like we said, 34 officials from both club officials and players, and it doesn't speak about everybody in there, but I guess just wrap it up for us. Let me
so for me, and the reason I bring these things up, I feel like, and this is my opinion, I feel like the DC could have done something to save the clubs and dealt away with a lot of the individuals. And I say this particularly in the case of Ash Gold. It is very sad to see what one man's actions, only 4 years after acquiring the club, has done to this great football institution.
No, you see, in the
We have
case
seen-
of Ashfield, there's no way that
they
could have dealt with
and
it.
you see,
Because
and this
the
is
individual is the club. He owns the club.
and it
So he
raises
acted on
and
the
it raises a lot of questions about our ownership structure.
Yeah.
And whether